With the growth of tech and infusion into several industries, we are seeing more companies become more innovative. Startups are coming up with crazy solutions to everyday problems. We're seeing more novel ways of solving problems that are as old as man. And of course, great startups don't just solve problems, they also offer investors investment opportunities, offer job seekers potential employment, and ultimately create new products that are bound to help several people succeed. Also, we're steadily tilting towards a world dependent on artificial intelligence, and this has caused several interesting tech startups to rise. In fact, if you have a mind-blowing idea for a great tech startup, then this is the perfect time for you to start. In today's video, we'll be looking at interesting startups all around the world worth your time. Each of these startups is not only impressive because they have sought to solve a peculiar problem, but also because they've attracted investors and raised so much money, and also established themselves as the most promising startups in the world. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. Spacemaker.
Architects and developers and urban planners, they need to come up with new ways of meeting this growth. They need new and more powerful tools, which is why we created Spacemaker.
Environmental pollution is a real thing, and no longer a myth like some of us used to think. Since the Australian fires, more people now understand the significance of pollution and how negative it is for our environment. Interestingly, Spacemaker understands how important chemical processes are for industries, and since these chemical processes are dangerous for the environment, it's important that there are eco-friendly solutions to tackle this problem. In fact, this is one of the Millennium Goals of the United Nations. Spacemakers wants to make sure everybody wins, the companies and the environment. And this startup aims to create a solution that develops sustainable infrastructure which will help companies grow, while also making sure environmental pollution is greatly reduced. How does the startup work? Spacemaker works directly with infrastructure designers who can employ their services to devise the smartest and safest ways to build real estate structures. The job of Spacemaker is to conduct extensive research on sites, buildings, and the subsequent effects on the environment, and then come up with the best eco-friendly solution, or design with the use of artificial intelligence. Currently, Spacemaker's been able to raise $25 million in funding, and from the look of things, they're only going to make more. Capacity. Now, here's a startup that focuses on simple problems affecting you and me. Have you ever been unable to find a presentation, or suddenly can't find that assignment you saved on your PC? Or are you unable to find a document you'd be needing in a meeting? As long as you have problems of this nature, Capacity is the perfect solution. With Capacity, you can connect every single application you use into one single platform. This means that every work app you need will be compiled into one single app. With this platform, it becomes almost impossible to lose a single digital file on your PC. In addition to that, Capacity makes use of artificial intelligence software that manages your apps. It finds out the apps that you need at specific times and then keeps them ready for you. You can also use it to manage your team's activities and apps, and this will help you and your team members focus on the activities that are really important. I do, now I don't. As strange as this sounds, it is the name of a startup. Josh Upperman suffered a huge emotional blow after his fiancée of 3 months left him for somebody else. He was devastated, and also bothered about the fact that he was having troubles returning his ring back to the jeweler. He had got the ring for $10,000, but they said they could only give him $3,500 for it. This, of course, infuriated him. He wasn't just about to lose $6,500 over a ring that didn't result in marriage. In his devastated state, he started the startup I Do, Now I Don't, which would be a sort of Craigslist for fine jewelry and would be exclusively available to people who need to get rid of their rings, especially the ones who got rejected in love, just like the owner. Due to the structure of the startup, every buyer would get a huge discount off retail prices. But the startup does more than connect sellers to buyers. It also goes the extra mile of checking for quality. When an item is sold, the company holds the money and jewelry, and then sends it to a certified gemologist who checks if the jewelry is as valuable as the seller stated. Fortunately for Josh Upperman, he's currently married with kids, and he says he wouldn't have changed anything if he had the chance. Of course, this breakup led to his weird but very useful startup, diedinhouse.com. Ever wondered if someone has died in the house you're about to purchase? With weird and creepy stories making the rounds on the internet, it can be quite important to know if there was a violent death, suicide, or murder that occurred in the house before moving in. However, in most states, a realtor is not required by law to tell you if any of these events have happened in the house you want to buy. In fact, because most realtors know it will creep you out and might impact your final decision, they always choose not to tell potential clients about these deaths. But with diedinhouse.com, with just $11.99, you'll be given every information you need to know about a house when it comes to death. Did someone commit suicide in the house? Did a murder happen there? Did a member of the family die for mysterious reasons? Diedinhouse.com will feed you with everything you need to know. A weird startup, but no doubt a growing one, and one of the most popular in the United States, where it covers all 50 states. Reef Balls. Reef Balls offers an interesting and fun solution to a common environmental problem. In the late 1980s, Don Brawley, who was a frequent diver in the Florida Keys, saw how the coral reefs degraded. Since it was a favorite spot of his, he wanted to do something that would restore his spot back to its glory. With a friend, he decided to create artificial reef balls, which were eco-friendly molds that were meant to look like the coral growth of reefs. The project completely kicked off in 1992, and since then there have been over 700,000 reef balls in several oceans in 70 countries. In fact, reef balls have turned into the standard for coral restoration around the world. It has also affected habitat development projects and fisheries programs positively. But it gets even better. Brawley's father-in-law mentioned that he wanted to have his remains cremated and put in a reef. He said, "I can think of nothing better than having all that action going on around me all the time after I'm gone. Just make sure that the location has lots of red snapper and grouper." Now, with Eternal Reefs, you're offered a chance to make your final resting place a positive contribution to the marine environment. Environmentalists, fishermen, sailors, and divers can now rest eternally, knowing that their remains will do the environment some good. The Boring Company. What's a list of interesting startups without the Boring Company? With Elon Musk at the helm of affairs, the Boring Company is set to change the entire narrative of transportation. Elon Musk is a busy man, and it can be quite crazy having to deal with Los Angeles traffic every time he has to go to work. So he decided to start a company that would actually reduce traffic congestion in major cities around the world. With the Boring Company, Elon Musk wants to create underground tunnels that will transport passengers over 200 miles in less than 30 minutes. This is quite an ambitious reach, but not an impossible one. If this eventually works out, it's going to drastically reduce traffic in major cities around the world and also extensively reduce pollution. Just recently, it was reported that after 18 months, the company had completed the Las Vegas Convention Center loop, making it the company's first completed commercial product. In addition to this, the company has also mentioned plans to start the Las Vegas loop, even though no timeline has been given. The project has been estimated to cost between $75 million and $150 million. And according to the agreement with the city, the Boring Company will pay for the construction of the tunnel, while the hotels and other major companies around the area will pay for the design of the stations. Dinner in the Sky. Just like the name suggests, this startup in Australia is a pop-up restaurant in the sky.
100 foot in the sky. And I hate heights.
Despite obvious security problems, the restaurant has proved to be a popular choice, especially since it offers award-winning meals at flying tables. Since it opened in 2008, the restaurant has grown to attract partners and investors from over 50 countries. Interestingly, the startup has an impressive safety record, which means you might want to try this out very soon. Dog Parker. Dog Parker offers a simple solution to a very common problem nobody seems to be talking about. Have you ever had to walk your dog and then suddenly remembered that you had to do something, which means you have to tie your dog to a pole? We all have these moments, and it can be a pretty guilty moment. Dog Parker understands that this happens to the best of us, and they wanted to do something about it. The startup has created smart dog houses scattered across the city of Brooklyn. These houses are strategically placed beside stores and parks, and they offer a temporary home for your dog while you do something else. The homes come with a climate control function, a pet cam which allows you to see what your pet is up to from your phone, and a clean and fresh environment for the pets. Recently, the startup received over $1.5 million in seed funding and would be available in every walkable city. And with that, we wrap up this video. Do you think we missed out on any interesting startup? Tell us about it in the comment section down below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.